Hello my people, my name is Aderonke Adekombi, aka Auntie Roro. I'm a storyteller. I love to write and I love to speak amongst many other things. On Thursdays, I talk about storytelling basics and I tell stories to further drive home my point or any topic being discussed. Last week we spoke about perspectives and their role in storytelling. I used the story of David and Goliath to further drive home the point. We saw David as a young lad who was raised as a girl while growing up, and our Goliath really wanted to be a cook. Do note that the stories were both figments of the writer's overstretched imaginations. You can write yours too, and I will definitely love to read it. Today we'll be discussing another aspect of storytelling. When writing a story, one thing you have to determine before you start is the protagonist of your story. Now, who is a protagonist? A protagonist is a person or thing that the story revolves around. This could be a person, it could be a thing, or it could be an idea. Do note that the protagonist is not necessarily good or bad. For a long time, storytelling revolved around persons, and that's where we got the concept of actor no dey die, meaning that actors do not die. But now we see movies where people that are active actually die. This is because they were not protagonists. Because if they were protagonists, once they die, the movie ends. And do understand that when I say die, I'm not referring to physical death. I'm talking about the fact that they are no longer relevant to the movie. If somebody dies or somebody exits the scene and is no longer relevant to the movie, then they are not protagonists. It is possible that a character would die in the movie, but that character is still a protagonist because every single scene or everything about that story is still revolving around the person or an idea. Then we have identified our protagonist. An example I would like to give is the Game of Thrones. You will discover that in the movie Game of Thrones, for those of us who watched it, a lot of characters that we liked died, but the movie basically continued because the protagonist for the Game of Thrones is the Iron Throne. And then for a movie like Merlin, even though the title is Merlin is not the protagonist. The protagonist is actually King Arthur. That was why when King Arthur died, the movie ended. I can go on and on with examples. So next week, I will tell a story to illustrate the concept of the protagonist in storytelling. This is why you need to subscribe to my channel Auntie Roro on YouTube. See you next week and do have a delightsome rest of the week. Bye.